What happens when the most powerful men in Russia, billionaires who own entire cities, factories, and football clubs, get called cockroaches by Vladimir Putin? Well, that's exactly what happened in 2009 when Putin walked into a town on the brink of collapse, humiliated one of Russia's richest men on live TV, and forced him to reopen a factory. A factory town called Pikalyovo. Workers were angry. Protests had broken out. And all eyes were on the men who owned the factories that had stopped paying wages. So Putin calls them in. The cameras are already rolling when he sits down across from the oligarchs. These are men worth billions, yet they sit there like nervous schoolboys waiting to be told off. And then Putin strikes. He looks them dead in the eye and says,
Почему здесь-то забегали все как тараканы перед самым моим приездом?
Cockroaches. That's what he called them, on national television, and you can see the fear ripple down the table. With your ambition, incompetence, and pure greed. These are thousands of lives. It's absolutely unacceptable. If you owners can't come to an agreement, then this factory will be restarted. One way or another. We'll do it without you. He demanded billionaire Oleg Deripaska to sign the document restarting the factory. Deripaska freezes. For a moment, it looks like he might refuse. But under the glare of the cameras and Putin's stare, he takes the pen and signs. And then comes the final humiliation. As Deripaska tries to walk away, Putin cuts him off with just 4 words. One of the richest men in Russia, forced to hand back a borrowed pen like a guilty child. Days later, the Russian government stepped in. Pikalyovo was added to a federal rescue program. Workers got paid, production resumed, and the crisis slowly eased. But the punishment wasn't just symbolic. Deripaska's cement plant was fined millions of rubles. For him, it was a public shaming he would never forget. Yet, despite the embarrassment, Deripaska survived. With Kremlin backing, his empire recovered. By 2017, Pikalyovo's plant had returned to profit. Millions in revenue poured back in, and the town's economy breathed again. For locals, the intervention meant survival. For the oligarchs, it meant humiliation. And for Putin, it was victory. The lesson was clear. Factories might belong to oligarchs, but in Russia, power belongs to Putin. What happened in Pikalyovo wasn't just a scolding, it was a message. In Russia, the oligarchs may control factories, money, and media, but Putin controls them. For the workers, it meant food back on the table. For the billionaires, it meant public humiliation. And for the rest of the world, it was a glimpse of how Putin rules. Not through quiet negotiation, but through fear, theater, and absolute dominance. One pen, one signature, one order, and an entire town's future changed overnight.